Yo, what is up, guys? It is SKFC again, and I'm here to bring another discussion video. Today, we're going to be talking about Cristiano Ronaldo. He goes by many names. The fake Ronaldo, CR7. This is the first video I've made about him. In fact, this is the first time I've even mentioned his name on this channel. So I made a video about Messi last week, shameless plug, about his legacy if he had won the World Cup. So if you haven't checked that out, make sure you do. I made it last week. It was a really good video. I think you'd probably like it. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about Cristiano Ronaldo's time at Juventus. Juve, the big club in Italy, the old lady. Now, a lot can be said about his time there. He scored a lot of goals. He's won 2 league titles in 2 seasons. So I guess in a sense, if you were to look at it without any context, you would ask yourself, SK, how could he be a failure at Juventus if he scored all their goals and he's won 2 league titles in 2 years? Now that is an interesting question, and pretty much my answer to that is you have to look at the reason why he was brought in the first place. So we're going to figure out, is Ronaldo a failure? Because I'm not saying he is or he isn't just yet. However, there are rumblings that he is from some people in the footballing community. So we're going to look at how accurate that statement actually is to say. Okay, first things first, we have to look at the circumstances of how he got there. Ronaldo got to Juventus for 100 million a year after repeating with the Champions League in 2018. At that point in his career, he would have been 33 years old. He would have came off the back of that repeat and the subsequent World Cup of that year. So he came into the first season at Juventus. He scored 21 goals and had 8 assists in 31 games. He had 6 goals in 9 games for the Champions League. And the most iconic, moment that came out of his first season there would definitely have to be the comeback hat trick against Atletico Madrid in the second leg of the round of 16. So, he has had success there. Oh, to really put this under a microscope, we have to look at what Juventus was really doing before he got there, because that's really the only way we can figure out how much progress has really been made. So that's what we're going to do right now. So if you look at the state that Juventus was in prior to when he got there, Juventus had already won like 7 league titles in a row. So he clearly wasn't there to win the league. And if you look at how they had performed in Europe up until that point, in 2015 they had made the final and lost to Barcelona 3-1. In 2016 they lost in the round of 16 to Bayern Munich after losing 4-2 in the second leg after extra time. In 2017 they made the final and they got trounced by Real Madrid 4-1. In 2018 they made the quarterfinals and lost to Real Madrid, and that was the game where Real Madrid needed a last minute penalty to get through the tie, or it would have went to extra time, and then did in the years prior to Ronaldo's arrival. So then if we look at how they performed post him getting there, in 2019 they lost to Ajax 3-2 on aggregate in the quarterfinals. After that amazing performance against Atletico, again, just to reinstate. And then last year in 2020 they lost to Lyon. Granted, and it was only 1 leg, but they lost over 2 legs. They lost to Lyon due to the away goal ruling. So here we have 2 years that he has lost to what you would consider to be weaker opposition. And the fact of the matter is, when Ronaldo was brought in to Juventus, he was brought in specifically to win the Champions League. That was the purpose for bringing him to the club in the first place. And when you look at how they performed as a team in the Champions League post his arrival, I would be hard pressed to pretend like that's not worrying, that's not indicative of success. I can't sit here and be like, he's definitely been a success if they've lost in the quarterfinals in the last 16 in 2 years he's been at the club. And then you look at what they're doing this year, and they're losing to Porto again. So that's 3 years in a row they've played opposition that you would deem to be weaker than themselves. And as it stands right now, they're knocked out of the competition. Granted, they still have the home leg to play, and to be honest with you, I don't really think Porto is going to be able to hold on, in my honest opinion, just based off how that first leg went. But that's beside the point. The point is if they do end up losing to Porto in this tie, that would have been 3 years in a row that they was knocked out in the quarterfinals or earlier to opposition that they shouldn't really be losing to. And then especially when you look, and this looks even worse for Ronaldo, if you look at the ways they lost, the opposition they lost to prior to his arrival. I mean, you look at it for yourself. Prior to the arrival, let's look at the teams they lost to. They lost to Barcelona, MSN in the final of the Champions League. There's really no shame in that. They beat Real Madrid, they beat Borussia Dortmund on their way to that final in 2015. 2016, they lost to Bayern Munich in extra time. Again, Bayern Munich is a great team, so there's no real shame to doing that. In 2017, they made the final again. Yeah, they got destroyed by Real Madrid, but they still made the final. They beat Barcelona on their way there. So, you take the good with the bad. That's still good relative to what they want to achieve, which is obviously to win it, considering they haven't won it in like over 20 years. And then in 2018, they lose to a Real Madrid team on a questionable, because let's keep in mind that penalty call was very contentious. In the last minute, a Real Madrid team that had won 2 Champions Leagues in a row and went on to win the subsequent one that year. So a Real Madrid team that effectively won 3 Champions Leagues in a row. Again, so if you look at the opposition they lost to, you can't really make fun of. You can't really fault them. So when you go from losing to teams like that to losing to teams like Ajax, Lyon, potentially Porto, is just not a good look. It's irrespective of anything else, it's not a good look. However, keep the words I say, it's not a good look. Just because it doesn't look good, it doesn't mean we can't apply context to those losses either, and see what we can figure out from that. So that's what we're going to do right now. So now we're going to apply some context to these Juventus losses. So if we look at the stats, what do they tell us? In the knockout stages of the Champions League prior to this season, since Ronaldo's been there, Juventus have scored 6 goals in knockout matches, and Ronaldo has scored all 6 of those goals. So in essence, what that tells me is that his teammates aren't producing enough to really help the team win. And the reason why I say that is because if you just look at the way they play, it kind of centers on Ronaldo to an absurd degree in terms of his scoring ability. And especially, with his older age, he is become more of a goal scorer and he's become less of an all-around player. So when you have when that's kind of like the linchpin of your system, if he isn't failing to deliver, no one else is really going to do anything. And the problem with that is that, so now it looks bad on him because they keep losing to a weaker opposition, and it's not really his fault. However, just because it's not his fault doesn't mean that it's not a bad look. And even on top of that, even in the league this year, at the rate they're going, they might only get Europa League football next year. I don't think that's going to happen, but the fact that I can even say that and have that be a realistic statement in February, now that has to be a true indictment on Ronaldo's tenure there, because they never even brought him in to win the Serie A title. So if they're even incapable of doing that, and they lose to Porto this year, I might have to brand it. I might have to brand it in that category, as harsh as it might sound, because at that point, not only would they have regressed in the Champions League, they would have regressed in the league, something that they've been winning for years and years and years. So yeah, so that's pretty much what I had to discuss today. And to give you a straight answer, if they don't win this league title and they lose to Porto specifically, as much as it's technically not his fault, his time there has to be labeled as a failure. I can't not label it as a failure, because especially for what they brought him in for, and for a player of his caliber, it has to be labeled as a failure. It's as simple as that. But we'll see in upcoming weeks just what to make of his time at Juve. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of his time there. If you liked the video, then subscribe, and have a good day.